Effective communication, the secret to gaining respect and reverence. Do you want people to respect and respect you more? Effective communication is key. Instead of passively tolerating things, set clear boundaries from the start. This is especially important with those closest to you: children, spouses, friends, coworkers, partners. Remember, tolerating someone's behavior over time doesn't mean they'll appreciate your kindness. In fact, it often has the opposite effect. You'll only receive more and more disrespect in return. Why? Because it's human nature to want to test the limits of tolerance. We may have good intentions, but they just see an opportunity to take advantage of us. Think about it. When someone knows they can cross your boundaries without consequences, why would they stop? Not because they are intentionally evil, but because they don't see any risk in crossing the line. This is where communication, combined with clear, unwavering principles, become the tools that help you not only maintain your dignity, but also protect the health of your relationships. Love is not about letting others walk all over you. True love is about strategy and wisdom. It is about knowing when to give and when to hold back. It is about being kind without being taken advantage of. We often think that if we love someone unconditionally, they will love us back. But the reality is different. Look at traditional stories. Characters like Wu Dalang always treat others with infinite kindness, but that does not protect them from betrayal. What we need to understand is that kindness without limits is not a virtue, but a weakness. It opens the door to disappointment and hurt. This doesn't mean you shouldn't be kind, but it does mean you need to be mindful. Show love and care, but also know when to set boundaries. The way we interact with others doesn't develop overnight. It's the result of patterns and habits that develop over time. These patterns often form unconsciously, influenced by past experiences and the behavior of those around us. In childhood, these patterns are shaped by parents, teachers, friends, and relatives. Young children are genuine, raw, and unprotected. They act on instinct because they have not yet learned to conceal their intentions or actions. Let me tell you a story about my son. When he was in first grade, he exhibited two very different patterns of behavior, depending on who he was interacting with. With his close friends, he was generous, often bringing snacks and toys to share without thinking. But when it came to his mother, he was quite stingy. Why was that? The answer lies in the way we, as parents, had unintentionally shaped his interactions. My wife was too indulgent, always giving in to his every wish without asking for anything in return. Gradually, he got used to receiving without expecting anything in return, which led him to take his mother's kindness for granted. But with his friends, it was a different pattern. He learned that in order to play and make friends, he needed to share. It was a natural give and take. He understood that if he didn't share, he would lose those friends. This became a basic lesson in reciprocity. If you're a parent, this may worry you, but it's a reality we need to face. Children learn from the environment we create for them. And if we want them to grow up to be balanced and empathetic adults, we need to teach them not just kindness, but respecting boundaries and reciprocation. Now let's move on to how my son behaves towards me. For someone who knows how to shape behavioral patterns, managing him is no more difficult than training a puppy. In front of me, he dares not do anything wrong. He is a well-behaved, disciplined, and polite child. Just one stern look from me, and he will immediately obey. Why? Because he has learned that there are severe consequences for misbehaving. The consequences are clear and consistent. When he dares to talk back to me, I apply strict punishments. No TV, no toys, no playing with friends for 10 days, and a strict study schedule. He also faces physical punishment by standing in one place for hours. In addition, he is forbidden to buy snacks. After experiencing this twice, he quickly understands that misbehaving will lead to serious consequences. I realize that respect is indispensable in our relationship, and in order to receive goodness from me, I must learn to respect first. Every time I disciplined my grandchild, my mother-in-law would run to his side, often buying him toys and food to comfort him, and giving in to all his demands. As a result, he did not respect her, often speaking to her in a rude and impolite manner. Finally, she realized that her method was not effective and decided to let me take over the discipline of the grandchild. This applies not only to children, but also to our interactions with spouses, friends, and coworkers. How others treat you is largely determined by how you set boundaries and what you accept or reject in their behavior. When someone crosses a boundary, the point is not simply to assert power, but to emphasize that mutual respect is necessary for a relationship to thrive. So how do you establish effective patterns of interaction? The key is clarity in setting boundaries. In any relationship, it's not enough to just passively tolerate things. It's important to set clear, specific boundaries from the start. This is especially important when dealing with people close to you: children, partners, friends, and colleagues. They need to understand exactly where your boundaries are, and they need to know that there will be consequences if they are crossed. Many kind people are taken advantage of because they lack these boundaries. They think that being patient, flexible, and accommodating will bring them respect. But unfortunately, this is not always the case. Without boundaries, your kindness can easily be mistaken for weakness, which makes others take advantage of you. This is not only their fault, but also your fault for not being clear about your boundaries. Let me tell you a story about a friend of mine. When he first got married, his wife was extremely kind and loving. However, my friend spoiled her too much, thinking that just by giving a lot, he would prove his love. At first, when we went to his house, his wife cooked, and he helped. Gradually, he took on more and more of the work. Finally, he was the one who cooked all the dishes, while his wife just stood by and watched. I could clearly see the change in their relationship. She had become used to being spoiled and began to take it for granted, but my friend never objected, always smiling, thinking that he was doing the right thing as a good husband. As a result, things did not go as expected. A few months ago, he called me in anger. He said that he had beaten his wife and wanted a divorce. I was shocked and asked what happened. He said, "Do you believe it? I've been pampering her all these years, cooking, taking care of everything, but she's getting angrier and angrier, always yelling at me. I couldn't take it anymore, so I hit her." I told him, "She became like this because you allowed it to happen. Now you're angry, but why didn't you set a limit from the beginning? If you didn't want to do all this, if you couldn't stand the scolding, why didn't you say it clearly from the beginning? After 15 years of suffering, you're now asking for change. How can she change?" After listening to me, he asked, "So what should we do now?" I said, "It's simple. Just keep enduring. You've endured for 15 years. Why do you want to stop now? Either solve it once and for all or accept reality." This is a classic example of what happens when there are no clear boundaries. No one is to blame but yourself. So if you have developed fixed patterns of interaction with some people over a long period of time, don't rush to change them. First, consider whether you have the upper hand and whether the other person really depends on you. Breaking long-established patterns is difficult and will lead to confrontation. But if you have the upper hand and the other person cannot live without you, go ahead, but be prepared for tension. An important aspect of shaping interactions is through the use of strategies, pain points, and pleasure points. Especially in a relationship, it is important to set a precedent. If someone crosses your boundaries, they need to be clear about the consequences of their actions. Let me tell you a real-life story. When my wife and I first started dating, our interaction patterns were not clearly defined. It was a time of negotiation. During the dating phase, people tend to indulge and accept. However, when you get married, the dynamic needs to change to balance responsibilities. One notable event was when my wife asked me to cook. I realized that if I agreed, it would become a regular part of my job, and my work schedule did not allow for that, so I firmly refused. I said that I was too busy with work to cook, and if this was irreversible, we needed to review the relationship. It became a big move, leading to 2 days of tension, even involving her parents to mediate. In the end, she realized that the marriage could not revolve around small things, and she chose to compromise. Since then, she has taken on the cooking without feeling dissatisfied. Every time she cooks, I praise her to reinforce positive memories. From then on, balancing the painful memories and the happy memories. Are my actions harsh? Maybe, but that's using emotional intelligence strategies. Being assertive doesn't mean being rude. It means being direct and direct. Being irreplaceable isn't just about skills or abilities, it's about how others perceive your value. Here are 3 ways to be irreplaceable. 1. Superior skills. When I first started in sales, I always tried to do better than everyone else. I didn't just work, I worked better than anyone else. My bosses valued me because half of the company's revenue came from my contracts. While others got 4 days off, I was allowed 8 because I had proven my worth. Competence doesn't come from talent, it comes from dedication and hard work. I spent 6 months working without a day off, making me the best in my field. 2. Material assets. Time is money. When you invest your time wisely to build financial security, everything else falls into place. Even though I'm rarely home for work, my son always sees me as a provider. Why? Because I am the one who buys him the toys he loves. This creates a sense of respect and dependence. 3. Superior awareness. Awareness is not just seeing the surface, but understanding the inner nature. Many people just react to what they see, but those who can anticipate and plan ahead navigate situations to their advantage. For example, during the pandemic, why did the divorce rate skyrocket? It is not just an emotional issue, but largely due to financial pressure. Raising awareness requires real-life experience, learning from wise people, and continuous self-education. Ultimately, the real competition in life is not having more, but seeing more. Your level of awareness determines the quality of your life and the assets you possess. The law of the world is simple. If you are strong, opportunities will come. If you are weak, they will pass you by. In personal, professional, and business relationships, this principle holds true. When you demonstrate your value and clarify your boundaries, you will earn respect, not just compliance. Mastering the art of communication, strategy, and setting clear, unbreakable boundaries is the key to earning true respect. Be firm, be fair, and most importantly, be irreplaceable.
If you feel inspired by this story, please hit the like button to support us, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below with your thoughts or the Zen stories you want to hear next. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next inspirational and peaceful moments. Your interactions are a source of encouragement for our journey. Thank you for accompanying us on the path of wisdom and enlightenment.